guys, please comment down below in the YouTube comment section what topics you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
Predictions, team rebuilds, anything you want. Like, because sometimes we have our last topic usually is like improvised. Like, for this podcast, we were planning on a rebuild here, which we'll mention at the end. And yeah, if you guys want to have an impact here on the episode, please do comment down below, leave a like, and please subscribe. So,
and those,
getting to
well,
it.
well,
Sorry,
those that
Chris.
have commented though, we do have a list, an ongoing list, so we'll get to them, right?
Exactly. And the rebuild we're doing is from a comment.
Yeah.
So that's important to mention too. So you want to start on the transfers, and I think the club that's being talked the most with the transfers is Man United, after
Yep.
confirming the signing of Jadon Sancho, which was necessary and took a way too long. But now Dave has the possibility, Santan Dave has the possibility to rap about Greenwood, Rashford, and Jadon Sancho trio up front for
Beautiful.
United.
Beautiful.
How'd you feel about that?
I'm happy it's done. I want to see him hit the ground running. I have a feeling he will, but not to the tune. I mean, the kid's not going to be a world beater on day one. But hey, he took the number 25. Maybe that's how many goals and assists he provides this season. I think that'd be a pretty solid first season. But no, I'm happy it's done. I'm happy he can get there, get ingrained. That Solskjaer got his contract extension as well. So Man United is attempting to build that cord that they can take into the future, and Sancho is definitely one that's going to lead them there, right?
Well, Ollie getting the contract extension must be because United feel like he's done a fantastic job. Because we know Ollie isn't right now one of the most wanted managers out there in the market. I don't feel like a Real Madrid or Barcelona would want Ollie. So this contract extension wasn't because of interest, but because of saying thank you. You know, we were in a tough situation. Ollie, you've brought stability, but is he the man for the job? I'm going to stick with my guns here, and I'm just going to say Conte should be the guy still. But leaving on that, Jadon Sancho arriving for the price tag, he did 85 million. You're expected to get now top 4 100% next season.
Oh yeah.
And if he doesn't, well, I think he'll be sacked. I think that's an easy prediction. Plus, I think Sancho would need a player like Trippier to help him offensively. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, really good player, but he can be the third center back. I've been saying this for years. I'd love to see Aaron Wan-Bissaka playing as a right center back in a 3 defensive.
The old Kyle Walker role is what you're
exactly
you're alluding to here. Fair enough.
He'll be one-on-one. We all know what Aaron Wan-Bissaka does. Like in a 3 center back tactics, Aaron Wan-Bissaka would be lethal, and Trippier would cover the offense. So, and Trippier is on the news for United. But I wanted to mention this with the United talk. Did you see what happened with Paul Pogba?
I did see what happened with Paul Pogba. That was going to be my next question to you. I think if you can get 40, 50, 60 million for him, do you do it?
Yeah, you do it, because I don't think Pogba I don't think Pogba liked the idea of Ollie getting the contract extension.
I mean, yeah.
I don't think Ollie and Pogba is exactly the best chemistry there, but I think it's happened. It didn't work out like it should have. The Mourinho experience didn't go well, and I think Pogba wants a new adventure. At least I have that feeling. But I was surprised with how the Paris Saint-Germain fans reacted towards the interest of Paul Pogba going there. I'm more shocked about the wage bill not exceeding if Pogba goes to Paris. No, I don't get the PSG fans there, you know?
Could be the same thing, though. A Pochettino, is he going to be much better? Right? And that's a whole nother discussion in the future, right? He just got his extension too, right? Pochettino. So, I mean, really what it kind of comes down to is if there's any friction with Paul Pogba, it needs to be alleviated. It needs to be done before the season starts, if at all possible. And if there are suitors, you know, this has nothing against Paul Pogba being a world-class player, but for the team, I mean, I think you got to move forward with that, right?
So you think Pogba's staying?
No, I think Pogba's going. I think it's better for the long run if he does go. Cut bait now and move on. Move on for
Yeah,
sure.
because the common problem I see with Man United, Arsenal, all these big clubs, I'm not going to say Chelsea and Man City, is they can't sell the players that don't work. Phil
Right.
Jones is still there. Fred is still there. Many players that didn't work out for Man United are still there. And I'd like to mention that right now to the next transfers I'd like to lead up to is Tottenham. Fabio Paratici is
Yep.
doing an amazing job managing Tottenham, in my opinion. And everything around Kane, okay, because I think Kane's leaving. I think the Tottenham rebuild is real.
Okay.
And getting Alderweireld 13 million, getting the contract extension of Son, maybe signing Christian Romero for like 25 million,
I mean,
getting
that'd be.
Lamella's wage bill out, and getting a
Mhm.
youngster like Brian Gil. There's thinking. There's a plan in place. You can see, and even the goalkeeper Golini.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
Golini.
Hmm.
Like I have a feeling that things are going to plan with Tottenham, and with clubs like Arsenal, United. Getting Sancho done. Varane. Let's see if it happens. But I feel like a midfielder would be necessary too. I've been always saying this. United need a midfielder.
Yeah, well, we're back to United there because I mean
Sorry.
Spurs. Hey, no, it's okay. We're going to be all over the place when it comes to this because there's just so much news flying in. But I absolutely agree with you about Spurs. It's good to see. I don't know how Alderweireld is worth. What did you say, 13 million?
Yep.
But hey, if you can get it and move on.
I think it's a
Romero.
done. I'm not sure. I think it's a done deal. He
I,
left
I
for
haven't seen
13
it
million.
cost yet, but it probably will. Yeah, but 25 million for Cuti Romero would be absolutely a steal, and someone they could certainly build upon. And I love how they're rating Atalanta to do so from Golini and Cuti Romero. But I do love how you kind of glossed over how you weren't going to talk about Chelsea or Manchester City when it comes to not being able to get rid of players that don't necessarily work out. When
Hmm.
Chelsea had Marco Van Ginkel, let's see, Danilo Pantic, um, Baba Rahman, I believe, is still on their roster. They have
Hmm.
been saddled with absolute mismanagement of certain players' contracts for years and years and years, but those are of yesteryear. The new Chelsea might be a little bit different because we've seen what's been happening as of late. Getting 23, 24 million for Mark Gahey, right?
Hmm.
Who's another one? Help me out. Well, they've had some academy youngsters move on. Miles Pert Harris, and forgetting who else here.
But Brendan,
But
in like 30 loans, they're gonna have
yeah,
like four that don't work out as well for the club. You
yeah.
know,
Well, I
if we
mean, it's
see
like
the big
Angelino with
spectrum.
Manchester City. That's for sure. When you have a network of clubs, you're going to have management of players that don't work out, and you're going to have to get them off your books at some point. But it took Marco Van Ginkel 5 years, 6 years to actually move on to PSV for nothing. Do you? I don't. He's like a yesteryear player. So they're just an interesting way to look at things. I don't know if that's going to become the Manchester United of the future.
I'd say the eternal wonder kid at like Chelsea was Lucas Piazon.
Oh yeah,
He stayed there a long time. He was on loans non-stop to the Eredivisie, but I still think like in so many loans, like it's just normal. Some of them don't go as well. Like as we know,
sure.
Chelsea were like 30 loans every
Yeah,
season,
it's
which is
unbelievable.
ludicrous in my
It,
opinion. But they were
alone
just
on it, right?
profiting off it, and
Right.
they by selling Mark Guay, like which in Swansea he was amazing. Okay, ball
Mhm.
passing ability is on point with Mark. Okay, Crystal Palace got a fantastic deal, I think, with Mark. So they got Olise, Ezi, Zaha, Mark Gué. Gue, I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry if I
Way
butcher it.
I don't know either, but yeah, it's
But
that works.
it's a really good transfer window for Crystal Palace in my opinion. But I'm
It is.
still doubtful with Patrick Vieira. I really hope it works out for Crystal Palace. But the
Mhm.
transfer window on point.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, Vieira from a manager perspective, I really honestly haven't seen him succeed anywhere, right? Except
Yeah.
when he's on the pitch. I still remember him and his stint at New York City FC. I think the biggest thing for Crystal Palace is to get them all on the pitch together, and get them healthy, because they're not right now, right? So some of those, I know Elise is still dealing with injury. Who else is out long term? Oh,
Ezzy.
Eze is out long term. But they did offload Andros Townsend, right? And he's over at Everton, joining Benitez. And I gotta say, because it's kind of against the grain, what Rafa Benitez has been doing over there, or whoever's pulling the strings, right? And you might know the name. I'm forgetting the name right now. Who's pulling the strings over at Everton? Is it
Hmm.
Brands? No.
Not sure.
Anyway, Demarai Gray, Andros Townsend, Asmir Begovic. They're not going to knock your socks off, but you know what they are for Everton? Because what actually hurt them time and time again last year?
Mm.
Their depth. They are depth, and they're depth for cheap. And they're not asking Demarai Gray to come in and score 15 goals or whatever, do something that he couldn't do with Leicester and that he couldn't do with Bayer Leverkusen. But what they are doing is they're actually building relatively Premier League caliber players, that can help assist a guy like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who was lights out for about 85% of the year last year, right? And then he faded away and couldn't score because he wasn't getting much service. So against the grain, I really like what Everton's doing in terms of focusing on the depth first before going out and bringing in the pieces that they feel they absolutely need. I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me on that.
I disagree on you on that because when Ancelotti was there, he got Ben Godfrey. He got. I feel like they got players with a higher caliber, and I'm not gonna say it's the Ancelotti effect, but it must be important, like to know the stature too of the coach. And I feel like Rafa Benitez, I don't have a grudge on him going to Everton, because he's a Liverpool legend.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, like, he's got the family living in Liverpool. He loves the city, and it's completely understandable for him to make a decision, professional-wise, to coach in Everton. But I don't think it will work out. I'm not very hopeful with Rafa Benitez at Everton. I could be wrong, like at the end of the season, but comparing Everton, I like to compare with a team like, let's say, Wolves. I think like I'd pick maybe an Aston Villa or a Wolves on top of Everton for next season. Okay, this is a bold statement, but I like the management done by these teams, and plus Leicester. Leicester, I know Begovic was a really good find. He must have gone for free, right? Begovic went for free.
Yep.
But Toswend and you mentioned there, and Demarai Gray. How much was it?
Like Townsend was a free, and Demarai Gray was $2 million.
Okay, if considering that, like 3 good snatches.
It's shrewd business, and there's a whole lot of doom and gloom surrounding Rafa. So, I mean, I'm all for it. I agree with you. My first take on Rafael Benitez there was that it was going to not end well, and I think most of Everton's fan base feels the same way. But Everton's just a team you want to see do well, and at least for me. Over the last couple years, and back in the day when Landon Donovan was playing that with them, Timmy Howard for a while. They're just one that we always looked at and really wanted to see move up that table. Back when Timmy Cahill was punching down corner flags for fun. They've just been a fun team to watch on this side of the pond, but. Last season was pretty much, par for the course in terms of do well and then not until they don't do well anymore. So anyway, we spent too much time on the Toffees. One of the other, I think one of the most exciting teams that are going to be to watch this year and could be in line for, say, I'm not going to say a Leeds type of year like last year, right? But I really, really like Brentford. And just to see them making really decent on paper decisions, bringing in Christopher Ajer, I think, or Ayer, in from Celtic. I mean, he was Celtic's kind of pulse, all right, last several years, at least before they, lost the SPFL title to Rangers last year. But he is a very good player to add to your center backs, and he can also play DM. So, and then they also shored up the midfield with Frank Onyeka. So 23-year-olds getting a little bit younger there to go. I just have to bring this up. Brentford was a team that several years ago they cashed in when they missed promotion. They cashed in on Neil Mopay. You might recall that, right? It was over 20
Yes.
million euros to Brighton, right? They
Yeah.
cashed in on Ollie Watkins. They cashed in on Saida Benrahma, who went to West Ham,
West Ham.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are three massive, like talismanic figures for Brentford that left, and they still spent wisely, bringing in Ivan Toney from the lower leagues, and they were able to get on up there. And I honestly believe that if they can actually apply that type of that knowledge of the player market as they already are starting to, it seems like good on paper. We'll see if it's good on the field. I think they could be a surprise package this year. Not quite Bielsa and Leeds, success, but definitely up there playing attractive football and one that we're going to want to watch. So,
I know that they use a lot of advanced technology in the
okay.
scouting platforms, and actually, I think the owner of Brentford is the owner of Michelin too. So a lot of Scandinavian players went to Brentford too, and they passed along. And Ben Rama,
Yeah.
like selling Ben Rama and managing to still come up to the Prem, it's fantastic mention there. And yeah, it's fantastic. I was actually surprised that he went to Brentford. I was sure that many suitors must have bid.
Yeah.
But let's see. I think he must believe in the project if he's going there too.
I think, yeah, you must be right. It's the same reason people are signing up left and right for what Christophe Gauthier is doing over at Nice. But one of the other things, I had to bring up here, and I got to ask you, there was a lot. For some reason, there's always a lot of transfer chatter around what Cristiano Ronaldo is going to do next. But it was nice to get a little clarity on that this week. At least Pavel Nedved came out and said, no, Cristiano Ronaldo will be, a Juventus player. He'll be reporting on Monday, and then basically we have no plans on getting rid of him or Paulo Dybala, which is really interesting. And it could be because, looking at his past lineup selections, could be that they play two up top sometimes. I don't know, or it could be a depth thing, but. What do you think? Do you think Ronaldo should move on? A lot of people were saying PSG.
Well, I was planning on this being the last topic, and I'm really happy you mentioned it. So, Ronaldo, I feel like he would have rather left Juventus.
Okay.
But can he, though? I don't think he can. I don't think the right club is there. And George Minge, I think he knows that. And Christian, too. So, I think he'll stay at Juventus another year.
Okay.
But next season, I think Mbappe is going to leave PSG, and I think Ronaldo's going there. It's so fitting. I think that's going to happen next season. This season, it can't happen because of all the wage bills and even like the amounts of like the negotiations for Ronaldo to leave a club. Those take very long. So.
Right. Right.
I think he'll stay another year at Juventus, and let's see what happens. But with Juventus, I wasn't surprised because for me, Chiesa doesn't have a price tag right now. But I saw that Liverpool gave 100 million bid for Chiesa, and Juventus rejected it, and it was the right choice. I'm just gonna say that. But the world is watching, and you can't keep all these players. Juventus will have to make a decision here. Of who's going to be their stars. The league might want to leave. Okay. Chiesa, I think he'll stay. Dybala, I was surprised that Allegri really wanted him to stay because I thought Dybala might leave Juventus, and Christian is going to leave next season. I can't see him staying.
It was positioned pretty much the whole season, especially when Dybala wasn't playing. It was positioned that it was either CR7 or Dybala in terms of resources, right?
Yeah.
And now they're saying maybe both. So that is interesting. But yeah, okay, one more year. I know Cristiano could probably play until he's 50, and still score. But I honestly do believe that he's got to make these last years count. So wherever that's going to be.
But it's more of a legacy. Ronaldo likes to have a story. It's not just like go to a club. He likes to have a challenge too. And I think Ronaldo doesn't have the right challenge
Okay.
offered to him at this moment. So that's
So
why I think he's gonna stay.
he's pulling a David Beckham going to PSG. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Maybe then go to the MLS. You never know.
You never
So
know. Or back to sporting, right? Um, hey, there's just so many more to. Did you have any other big ones that you wanted to talk about? Because we barely scraped the surface, but you know.
oh no no no. I think with the transfers, I think we're up.
Okay, well, I have one more before we move on.
Okay.
Somebody get this man a new. No, just kidding. But Gonzalo Montiel. Okay, you may recall that he was the one that put in a pretty heroic performance in the Copa America
Yes.
final, the
I
right
saw the
back.
comment on YouTube too.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a good chance. I'm just so surprised that there aren't 5, 10, 15 clubs fighting over him, or they're doing a really good job. Put basically not publicizing it. But it
Mhm.
seems like Valencia is actually going to sign him. And it will be announced relatively shortly, but 11 to 12 million euros, and this is a kid still pretty young. And certainly La Liga seems like the best place, but I was just surprised when going back through those rosters, Copa America, specifically the Argentina roster, right? Cuti Romero, where was he going to wind up?
Mhm.
Montiel came up again, and then saw that comment, and it looks like Valencia. I mean, that'd be a good place for him.